It sounds different. Yeah, that's good. That's fine. That's perfect. That's fine. Yeah.
It's time for the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents, not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Good morning, everyone. Brand new show this week. All kind of stuff going on. Back in the studio. I was out of town last week at a conference at my coach's house, actually at Grant Cardone's office too in Miami, Florida. Everybody knows who he is. Huge real estate investor, big billionaire in real estate, big sales guy. And I was under my coach at his office, who's inside Grant Cardone's building. So lots of great stuff brought back from my team and out of the marketplace, seeing what's happening nationally, locally, and some interesting stuff we'll talk about today about that. Some big news in real estate world this week locally. Huge increase in pending sales. Just covered it actually this morning with my team in our office. The pending home sales, which is a 7-day period, is the highest it's been since the last week of July 2025. And it's very, very close to the all-time high 2025. Why is that happening in February, right, into March? Is because rates back down to almost a 4-year low. So we'll talk about that. Lowest rates we saw since 2022, which is great news out there for home buyers, for home sellers, get people off the fence. So we'll talk about what that means. And it couldn't come at a better time because this past week, some national reports came out just showing all-time lows in terms of pending deals nationally, and also amount of home sales, one of the lowest they've seen since they've been tracking. I'll talk about that on today's show as well. But lots of great stuff that we're seeing here in Myrtle Beach, kind of a little bit isolated because there's so many people moving here. I just saw another report this week. USA Today reported the top 2 counties people are moving to: Brunswick County, North Carolina, and Horry County, South Carolina, the top 2 on the list in the top 10. So that's great news for us. It helps us be a little bit more insulated in terms of what's happening. So we'll dig into all that, what that means. We'll kind of go over the overall market numbers. Next week's show, we'll have the brand new market numbers in for how February stepped up and how things ended up closing out. But do the same thing we do every single week here, right? Just do our job and our really passions to bring you anything and everything real estate related. They'll keep you educated in the marketplace so you can make better decisions for your largest assets. And for most people, that's real estate, right? And so we'll do that. If you want to come back, watch these shows again, we stream live on YouTube. Just type in Blake Sloan Radio Show. You can follow me on Facebook at Blake Sloan. Also, Sloan Realty Group. We stream them there. But also lots of great stuff. We got brand new Hot Buyers Alert. Some amazing success stories. Our team's absolutely crushing it in situations for sellers where they couldn't get the property sold with someone else. We came in, got it sold in a matter of days or weeks, and we'll talk about how we did that on today's show.
For any new listeners, just to give you an update on just who Blake is, it's an amazing story. Industry leaders have dubbed him the real estate whiz kid. Been featured in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, NBC, Realtor magazine, and many other national publications. He has been personally endorsed by Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck. One of those by itself is an accomplishment, but all of them together is unprecedented. Last week, we learned a little about how you and your team work and how a good portion of your success has come from the trademark systems you have developed to help both buyers and sellers here in our market. Recap quickly for anyone new to the show what those are exactly, and a quick overview of how they work, Blake.
Yes, Rick. And that's the whole just why of this show, the passion behind the show. I've been doing this, I don't even know, 15 years or something now. A long time here on this station. And really the goal is to keep everybody updated to help make better decisions. But the problem I see over and over and over, and here's the thing. Even with listeners, I've had many times with listeners who are like, oh, long-time listener, but we had this horror story. And then thankfully, I guess it didn't sell. And they come to us to fix a problem. Like, look, here's the deal. Everyone makes this massive mistake. And I can kind of see how is they make the mistake of thinking that all real estate agents are the same. It could not be any further from true. Just like any doctor, lawyer, right? It comes down to it's a service-based business. Now, not only is it a service-based business, it's a high ticket item with a long sales cycle. So that's like the trifecta of insanity. If you think about all 3 of those, right? Service-based business, depending on the human who does it, a very long sales cycle, which means it takes a long time to sell or buy. And also it's a very high ticket item, which means high emotions, high issues. And so there's a lot of room for mistakes and issues made. And a lot of people don't realize that. It's like gambling, right? Think about this. How likely is it that you go to a restaurant, you have a bad experience sometimes? That's just getting your food, right? A steak a lot of times is done right. Now imagine the same type process with a human who doesn't really care attention to detail and sometimes doing your largest asset. And I see horror story after horror story after horror story every single day. And it's not mistakes that are like 5 or 10,000. I'm talking $60,000, $70,000 problems where people make mistakes that cost them hard equity. And so the whole passion, the why behind the show is like, I want to educate consumers out there just to wake them up and say, look, The number one thing that determines your success or failure, it comes down to one thing only. That thing is the agent that you choose, period. And the reason is because they have to execute at a high level. There's 118 different variables from A to Z when you're selling a property. Most consumers have no clue that's even a situation. Most agents don't even know that, right? They've never taken time to really map out what has to happen correctly to get a property sold fast and for the most amount of money. And so what they're doing is just winging it, right? The 3 Ps, they promise you will get the listing. Number 2, they put it to MLS. And 3, they pray that someone else brings a buyer. Meanwhile, they're in the street trying to get the next listing, and you're just sitting there on the market, just collecting dust, right? And so you see that happen all the time. And so what we did is like, look, how do we make sure that we can create a proven, repeatable system for home sellers out there so we can get maximum results for them and get maximum dollar for their property and sell it in the shortest amount of time? And so that's what I did. I took the whole model, the old school model, and flipped it upside down. I realized it was broken because if you look at how most agencies operate, I started out at a big box store, Coldwell Banker, years ago, great company, but the model was different. There was just me and 200 other agents there. They didn't care about me. We didn't care about them. And so there was no real alignment in terms of how we were operating. And so I was like, how do we create something that is like a regular traditional brick and mortar business, but into the world of real estate where you can have systems, processes, and people in alignment? And that's exactly what I did. I designed this thing called the Guaranteed Sold System. The only proven system is sells twice as fast and for 21% more money than traditional methods. And it works very, very, very well. It's backed up by 2 main things: a large team of people, 30 plus people, who are what we call specialists, right? Where each person specializes in what they do so they can execute at the highest level with precision versus a generalist who is a single agent, right? Trying to do everything, right? They're juggling all the balls. They're working with buyers, working with sellers. They're in the marketing, taking the photos, putting MLS, doing your closing coordination. And again, that's like having the same person, McDonald's, their front register, their draft, and their French fries at the same time. It's very, very inefficient, which is why the outcome is usually not favorable for someone who uses that type of agent. And so we also back it up with technology, massive amounts of money we spend in technology to help create maximum leverage for our clients, to have precision. Right now, we're huge into AI, artificial intelligence, and we have artificial intelligence helps follow up with leads, nurture, do data analysis, real-time analysis of real-time traffic, advertising, seller data in terms of what they're getting online. We're huge into that. We've invested very, very heavily that early on, and we were using AI follow-up systems for 3-4 years now. And it's obviously gotten a lot better in the last 12 months. And so that's something we've been light years ahead of everyone else. And it's really been very, very beneficial for our clients to get those small edges. And so if you want to know more how it works, reach out, call me, 843-808-SOLD. Guess what? A lot of agents out playing golf today. We're here hustling. We're getting the job done because that's what we do. That's our culture in our office and who we are. And so you can also watch a detailed documentary online right now on my website. We did an amazing 30-minute documentary that really goes behind the curtains in real estate and shows you how things work, the horror stories a lot of people deal with, why things are done the way they do. And we just kind of expose the entire industry. If you're going to go and look and see how it works, just check it out right now, blakesloan.com. For buyers out there, guess what? Same exact process, same exact problems. There's 100 plus variables when you buy a property. Handled correctly, it saves you money. If they're handled incorrectly by the agent, it costs you money, you overpay, or you miss out on the property you want. And so I designed this thing to help protect the client. It's called the Unfair Advantage Home Buying System. You provide access to foreclosures, distress sales, desperate sellers, the absolute best negotiation and purchase price, as well as the home inspection to get you that close table successfully with the most amount of money in your pocket. And so both those are designed to do one thing only, and that's to give you a massive competitive advantage. So if you want to know how it works, reach out, call me, 843-808-SOLD. Again, you can watch a detailed documentary about it, blakesloan.com. Take a quick break, right back in a second.
Hey, Sean Hannity here with the only real estate agent in your market that I recommend, Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. And thanks for joining me today. You know, a lot of people may be thinking about selling their home, but they want to make sure they're getting the most money possible. What options do you have available to make selling a home easier?
Hey, Sean, we have 3 unique, innovative options for home sellers right now. First, we have a program for maximum convenience. When I represent a large investment fund with millions of dollars looking to buy homes at a fair price in the Myrtle Beach, Grand Street area, or we have a program for maximum speed where I can match your property up with over 100,000 plus active home buyers looking to buy properties here on the Grand Strand. Or 3, maximum value. We have a proven system that'll sell your home twice as fast and for 5 to 15% more money than traditional methods.
All right, thanks for keeping us up to date. Call the agent that creates the most demand. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com.
Hi, I'm Barbara Corcoran. I'm excited to connect with Blake Sloan, the only real estate agent in Myrtle Beach that I recommend. You offer several options to home sellers, which really takes away the stress.
That's right. For sellers in a time crunch, you can agree to sell it by a certain date, pay cash for your home, or even rent it.
That's great. And if the seller has a bit more time?
Use our proven marketing plan to sell it for the highest price.
Work with my friend Blake Sloan and get the home sold on your terms.
Welcome back to Blake Sloan Radio Show. Brand new market update, all kind of stuff happening. I'll tell you, there's two types of numbers to look at, we talk about, but one of them is super, super hot right now, which is great news. I track it every morning in my office since COVID-19 started, since the lockdown started. And I'll tell you, it's looking better right now than it has in a very, very, very long time. And so we track what we call the front windshield numbers. It's like, hey, what's happening in front of us? What's happening in terms of properties going pending under contract in a 7-day period? We track two main numbers: how many properties, aka houses, condos, things like that, actually under contract, and how much volume total. So you can kind of see what's, the average sale price, things like that. You can kind of look at, but it is on fire right now. I'll tell you, the last 7 days, we saw 560 properties under contract for $227,038,000. To give you a breakdown, that's like pure red line summer market numbers right here in February, which is crazy. February, March, which is crazy because that type of stuff never happens this time of year. Why is it happening? Well, we just had rates drop down in the fives for the first time since 2022. And so that's getting a lot of buyers off the sidelines. That's getting a lot of people looking in terms of, what's happening, which is great new overall with that. But if you look at big money, it's just, I can't even wrap my head around it. I was talking about this morning. One property for $6 million, a single family kind of a multi beach house on the ocean, North Myrtle Beach, under contract. $3.6 million in Georgetown, $3.4 million in Grand Dunes, 6 properties over $2 million under contract in the last 7 days, 23 properties over $1 million under contract the last 7 days, 102 properties over $500,000 in the last 7 days. So big money's coming here, right? People are selling stuff in other areas, bringing money here, much more affordability. But that's something that's really, really good. You're seeing some struggle right now. I'll say this in the mid kind of price ranges. You're seeing a lot of stuff really well on the high end. I think you're kind of seeing that in multiple markets, right? Middle class in some cases struggling. And so you're seeing that hold off a little bit, but what's really helped that is affordability. And that comes down to just interest rates. And they came down back into the fives. A lot of people waiting for that. I think you're still seeing, we were talking about this a lot in my office, the news hasn't really picked it up that much. And so a lot of people don't even know it yet. And so we've been calling our clients, let them know, and they're getting much more affordability in terms of what happens. I'll break that down, but just give you an example. Last week's show was 495 properties under contract for $175 million. This week, which is 2 weeks ago, that's what that was. And obviously right now, much higher, we're talking about 560 properties. So what is that, 65 more properties in a 7-day period, and significant amount more, almost $50 million more dollars in property. So massive amount there, which is great. Inventory is actually up a little bit, 1,642 single family homes for sale in Horry County, which means there's some choice out there for buyers, which is great. You're coming to that spring market right now. You're starting to see, if you're thinking about selling, you better get on the road right now, because we all know the spring market's what's super hot, but it's happening earlier than normal because we're in a very interest rate driven marketplace right now. And so that's what you're seeing happen to get buyers off the fence who've been waiting for months and months and months and years. And that's something that's very, very powerful. If you look at single family home sales, we'll talk about the rearview mirror numbers. That's like, hey, what closed in the last 30 days? What closed last month? Again, next week's show, we'll have the brand new market numbers in from February as they'll be finalized for next week's show. But looking right now, closed sales last month, and it compares January to January. We're up 10.5% from the same time last year at 369 properties. The only thing to worry about a little bit, it's down significant. October is 546. December, it was 475. And January, only 369. So it was down significantly month versus month, but it was up year versus year. Average sale price for resale homes is flat, negative 0.1%. So 501,000 is the overall average sale price. It just fell from an all-time high in December of 555,000 in the marketplace here, which is huge. Median price is down 1.9% from where it was the same month last year. Right now, median price 385,000, and so that's something to watch out. And it dropped significantly from December. December is 405, and it dropped to 385 month versus month, which is something to kind of look out for. With that, if you look at days on market, average days on market right now for a property to sell for a single family is up significant, up 6% from last year. Right now, it's 121 days for a property that does sell. So that's just something to kind of watch out for with that 121 days with that. If you look at months of supply, which is inventory. Right now it's up a little bit, 4.6 months of inventory. And so that is a seller's market, which is still great news, which is awesome to kind of hear about overall with that. And the key two numbers to look at and watch is showings per listing, which is 3.5. It's up, which is great news, but the amount of showings it takes to get a contract is up 9.2% at 14.2. So that's check this out. In December is only 12. Right now it's 14.2. So the data gets tracked by the system that you have to schedule all your showings through. And that showings basically said it measures how many people look at the property before it goes pending and no one looks at it anymore, right? Well, right now, the average amount it takes before you get a contract is 14.2. The problem is the average listing only gets 3.5. So you can see you 4 times the amount of showings to get a contract than the average listing gets, which is why you need a really good agent. If you use the average agent out there, guess what? You're going to get 3.5 showings. The problem is the math doesn't math. You can't get on a contract until you get 14 in most cases. Again, it comes down to quality, location, the curb appeal. That all makes a difference. But in reality, you play the numbers in business, right? And so if I know the average agent is going to only give me 3.5 showings, I don't want to use an average agent, right? You need somebody who has marketing dollars behind them, who has a sales team behind them, who's able to push your property and get eyeballs on it and get traffic in there so that can move it down the conveyor belt, so to speak, and get more people looking at it. Because here's the thing, I talk about this all the time. I've been doing this 20 years in the business. I've learned to show thousands and thousands of homes. What I learned is I can't force anybody to buy your house. I can show them the cabinets all you want me to. I can tour them around the bathroom, master bath, but they know in 2 seconds if they like the property or not, right? It's just a matter of what they want from a preference standpoint. So what I'm really good at, I was like, all right, I learned that very quickly. Man, I can show these properties and hustle it all I want, but the reality is people know in 2 seconds. And so what if I actually did something that I could change the outcome with? And what I did is, how do I put more eyeballs on the property? And so if I can get you 10, 15, 20% more views online, which increases showings by 10, 20%, guess what? I'm getting a lot more people in there, which increases the chance it sells. And that's how we sell properties faster for more money. And how do we do that? We market. We spend $100,000 a month marketing right now, massive amounts of buyers. With a sales team that makes between 10 and 14,000 calls every single week. And so we're matching up buyers and sellers. If you think about that mathematically, right, 10 to 14,000 calls, our absolute minimum that we're allowed is 10,000. It balances around based on like weather, holidays, things like that. But ideally, you got that times 52 weeks. That's a massive amount of pushing that we're able to do for our clients by having that sales team behind us, which allows us to move the needle and get your property sold faster and for more money. We share that a little bit on the breakdown of the documentary at blakesloan.com. You can check it out. One thing to look at, condo sales. Condo sales down significantly last month, down 13.3% for condos. Average sale price for condos down 4.7% at $267,057. My eyes are giving out there a little bit. Median price, $225,000 for condos, down 4.7%. Supply is actually up 11% from last year. There's 7.9 months inventory right now for condos, which means that it is a buyer's market. And so that's something to keep thinking about really quick. Same problem there. Showings per listing is kind of off a cliff right now. The average condo only gets 2 showings the entire time it's listed, which is 6 months. 6 months on average. And how many does it take to get a contract? 9.1. And so ideally, if you think about that, you need 4.5 times the amount of showings that the average condo gets to get an actual contract. That's why you can't just pick any old agent. Your friend's cousin who just got their license is not going to help you out. Maybe in 2021 when it's a frenzy, but right now you need somebody who can really, really push that and kind of help you get to where you need to be. And that comes down to just getting eyeballs on the property and moving traffic and having people can hustle and push it and share. Our team is constantly making those phone calls and they're sharing one-to-one text message. Hey, check this property out. Have you seen this one yet? Because what you find is, here's the reality. Most realtors can't search MLS effectively, and the consumers don't really do as much. And how do I know that? We track it all the time. So they'll come to a website, they go to websites, and even Zillow, they'll go initially and they'll search. And sometimes it shows 300 properties because they did not enough limiting. Then you overlimit the search and it shows like 3 properties. You get frustrated and leave, go to the next site. And so it's important to have someone who can really do the nuance and share property as soon as they come on, have a human to human, as well as some artificial intelligence to help share that with them via email and text message and phone call, so it doesn't get lost in the chaos and the noise. And so that's what we're very, very good at. If you want to know more how it works, more than happy to show it to you. 843-808-SOLD. Also, mortgage rates, huge news. This last week we went at 5.99 for a 30-year fix, which is awesome. Right now, today, 6%, 6.00 for a 30-year fix, which is awesome. When it hit 5.99, the lowest it's been since 2022. So that's awesome, awesome news there. Lots of buyers off the fence. Many experts are saying once it gets steadily in the 5s for a 30-year fix, you're going to see massive amounts of buyers jump back in off the sidelines. 15-year fix right now, 5.6%. 30-year jumbo loan, 6.27%. A 30-year FHA loan, 5.64%. And a 30-year VA loan, 5.65%. And so lots of opportunity. If you're thinking about selling, here's the deal. Speed up your strategy earlier than later. Why is that? Because so much pent-up demand from buyers who've been on the sidelines are jumping in now. How do we know that? Because pending deals are up like crazy here locally. And so if you want some help, some guidance, we're here hustling all day. I'm here to help serve like we do all the time and give you the absolute best information. In some cases, it may tell you not to sell, right, based on what you're in. But ideally, you want to do it earlier rather than later this year. And if you want to know more, reach out, call me, 843-808-SOLD. Take a quick break. Right back in a second with Hot Buyers Alert.
WRNN listeners, Clay Travis here. As investors in real estate, Buck and I both know exactly what to look for to find the agent with the best tools and marketing to get the highest sales price possible for a home.
Totally true, Clay. And here in Myrtle Beach, that agent is our friend Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. If you need to sell a home and buy a new one, ask Blake about his guarantee.
Get this, Blake guarantees to sell your home at a price and deadline you agree to, or he'll buy it himself. And since you know when your current home will sell by and for how much, you can buy your next home without worrying about getting stuck with 2 mortgages.
There's simply no other agent in the market who has a guarantee that will line up against what Blake Sloan can offer you. So when you're looking to sell and buy, he is your guy. Read nearly 750 5-star reviews by Googling Sloan Realty Group. Give Blake a call today and start packing. That's Sloan Realty Group.
And tune in to Blake's show Saturdays at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 11:30 a.m.
Hey, Myrtle Beach, it's Gary LaVox, lead singer of Rascal Flatts. When I'm Moving On won the award for ACM Song of the Year, it struck a chord with folks who understand the challenges that come with life's big changes. For many, that happens when it comes time to sell their home. If you're moving on, you want a real estate agent who will make selling your home easy and stress-free. An agent who's willing to let you out of the contract if you're not happy with their service. That's why in Myrtle Beach, I can tell you that Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group markets your home on a whole different level. Now listen, Blake is so confident in his ability to sell your home quickly and for more money that he guarantees to sell it or he'll buy it himself. If you're moving on, trust Blake to provide your family a stress-free home sale experience. Find Blake Sloan online at blakesloan.com, or you can call him at 843-808.
About 7 minutes.
Thank you, perfect.
Start packing.
Welcome back, Blake Sloan radio show. Hot Buyers Alert, all kind of stuff having buyers. We got massive amounts of buyers. And really quick, I want to talk about the last part of the show. This thing I had saved and just talks about from the experts in the industry. I shared this yesterday. It said, if you're not calling your clients right now, you're missing a huge opportunity. Rates just hit 5.99%. Buying power is up $30,000. Affordability is at its best level since March 2022. This is why you want to reopen every stalled conversation. What does that mean? If you're a buyer, you have $30,000 more buying power just instantly based on rates. Now, what does that mean if you're a seller? You have buyers who can now qualify for your property who didn't qualify before, and the buyers who are buying your property have more buying power without you having to drop your price. And so it's a great opportunity for both buyers and sellers based on rates going back down. It gives it more affordable, which people are kind of locking back. But think about that. The best affordability since March 2022, you're talking 4 years. We just hit. I just had someone on Facebook yesterday. It was a reminder where I did this video about everybody being excited. Rates were at 6.79, and now we're into the 5. So great news. And so this is the deal. If you're thinking about selling, you want to go with the one that has what we call buyers in waiting. I mentioned we spend $100,000 a month every month in marketing. Don't sit there brag, but to share, we have a difference in terms of creating more leverage for you and having what we call buyers in waiting. What that means is most agents, they don't start marketing a property until they put a sign in the yard, and then they start doing something, right? Because the average agent sells 4 homes per year. And so what we have right now, we have 82,228 active home buyers looking at properties here in our website with a username password account. Those are not hits. That's not traffic. Those are actual buyers with the username password. Like right now, I got Michael from Myrtle Beach is on the site. William Bello from Little River. Shout out to William out there. I got Lydia from Conway. But check it out. We got Oakville, West Virginia, Mr. Brian Green. I got Charles Waters from Ottawa, Ontario. This one's interesting. Jack from Castleton on the Hudson in New York. I got Susan from Bayville, New Jersey. All Dayton, Ohio. Plainfield, Illinois, Brooklyn, New York, Columbus, Ohio, Countersport, PA. So lots of different stuff. We got, here you go, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, which is a cool one. So all over the place, we have massive amounts of buyers. And so we have the technology match up buyers and sellers for you. So if you're thinking about selling, reach out, call me, 843-808-SOLD. That's how we're able to sell properties faster and for more money, because we already have buyers in waiting. We have a technology match up buyer and seller. And so lots of opportunity there. So if you're thinking about selling, give us a call. We'll make you our next success story. Right now, big shout out to Jessica and Thomas. They had a house in the Carolina Forest they needed to sell in order to move back up north to be closer to family. They had listed with a, quote, family friend, and it was disastrous. Is what they said on there. Only 3 showings, no offers. They were beyond frustrated, and it was holding up their home purchase up north because they couldn't get anybody to accept their sale because it wasn't under contract. Thankfully, they saw our billboards, heard about us on the radio, gave us a call. We immediately identified the problem, which is marketing. I created a custom plan, launched our global marketing blitz, professional photos, virtual walkthrough, drone photography, drove massive traffic, had it under contract in less than 2 weeks. They were absolutely blown away, which is awesome. And then also, Joanne and Freddie, they owned a very, very nice home in Myrtle Beach. They're trying to sell, move to Florida, be closer to grandchildren, had listed with someone else 6 months, only a few showings, no offers, very frustrated. Thankfully, she also on our billboards on the highway, gave us a call. We came in, designed a custom plan, launched our global marketing blitz, professional photos, virtual walkthrough, drove massive traffic, had it under contract in less than 2 weeks as well. And now they're on the way to Florida with maximum equity. And so lots of opportunity there. Lots of other stuff I'm seeing in issues too with wholesale stuff. People are kind of, these investors are making super low ball offers for people. We have an investment fund. We can buy property for you as well. That cash offer, very, very fair price. We kind of super transparent. Here's what you could do on the marketplace. Then the difference is we're licensed. So we have, here's what you get full market price. Here's what you get instant buyout. You can pick and choose maximum convenience, right? You can do maximum price, which is, easier. And then we also have a combination of both, which is super, super easy. So if you wanted more, reach out, call me really quick. Got a couple minutes. Wanted to share something I had on last week. It says, who's buying in Myrtle Beach? It breaks down kind of like some detailed data, which is pretty powerful. It just talks about who's buying. The average home buyer was 58 years old, average income 91,000. People who bought here overall. It just talks about the breakdown of what percentages were. So, for example, the group of 65 years older. 65 years or older was 30.8% of the people that bought. People who were, my thing just froze up. That was something that's super powerful to kind of look at overall as well. And it's coming back up really quickly. I think for that, really quick, while I have that reloading, I was going to share this other graph that was kind of concerning for national. Just talks about pending home sales nationally fell to the lowest ever recorded, which is interesting. And there's multiple different sources seeing that. It just talks about what you've seen. The good news is, like I mentioned recently, Myrtle Beach is a little bit isolated because we're seeing so many people come in. The top 2 counties people are moving to in the United States, Brunswick County and Horry County, which has been awesome news. And so that's something interesting we'll see overall. The other part here, again, 24% of people who bought here were 55 to 64, 16% 45 to 54, which is interesting, but check it out. 39% moved from a different state coming here, 28.8 moved within state, and 8.9 somewhere within the country. So interesting stuff. Just looking at a data point with that 31% had a bachelor's degree, 15% professional degree, and then really 18% just high school graduate, 3% none. So interesting stuff here. Male versus female, 56% of people buy the male, 43% female. And so very, very interesting stuff. Looking at the average year people built and bought was at homes between 2010 2023. Only 5.7% were 2024 and older. So we break all that data down. We use it for our clients to help them on a deep level to kind of understand, hey, who's buying, what's going on. The average, breakdown of different people are buying is just telling us where they're from. Why does that matter? We target them online based on location, states, things like that. One of the early things I found when I first got in the business that people from Northeast saw massive amounts of value here because their average sale price was so much higher where they are versus where we are, which is a big, big deal overall. How much time we got left? 30 seconds. Awesome. Here's the one thing. If you have homes anywhere in the country, I spend a lot of money for this amazing tool that you can have basically a stock trader, a dashboard for all your property. It's a free service. Just go to blakesloan.com, put your address in. We won't hassle you. We won't bug you. I do it just for a free service for the community and for our clients. And it gives you real-time data, all the active comps, your real-time equity based on your mortgage balance, all this stuff. Go there. Give me a call, 843-808-SOLD. See you back here same time next week.